At this time, I'd like to open our meeting. This is our regular meeting tonight. Just for information, we will recess if the weather does get such that it's not safe for us to be here. We do have someone to alert us if we do start having a lot of heavy rain or showers. The forecast as we start is that it's supposed to come in between midnight and 1 a.m. So we're hoping that we'll be able to get through our meeting and then go home safely. But we don't want to put anyone in danger of flooding on the streets, because we have that issue sometimes here in Hope Mills. So with that being said, I would like to also remind you that we do have this live, so that anyone that is not able to be here or be outside because some of the concerns, it is being broadcast live. At this time, I'd like to recognize Dr. Ron Godbolt, who is the pastor of Word of Truth Ministries, who's come out this evening to lead us in our invocation, which will be followed by our Pledge of Allegiance. If you will, all please rise.
Let us pray. Gracious Father, we thank you for this day you blessed us to see. We thank you for allowing us to come together. We ask that you would bless this meeting. We ask your protection as the storm approaches. We also ask your protection during this virus, that you would protect your people. Give us comfort for those that lost loved ones already, and just continue to bless us, God, and guide us in everything we do and say. Bless your meeting tonight. Bless these leaders of our community, that you give them wisdom to make right decisions that will help the community. We give your name praise for all things. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. At this time, I do have one addition to our agenda, and that addition is a request to add under new business item J, and that would be to discuss and possibly take action on in-person attendance at our town board meetings. Are there any other additions or deletions that you'd like to our agenda for this evening?
Madam Mayor,
Yes,
I'd
ma'am.
like to make a motion to remove item B under new business.
Okay. Item B. Are there any other deletions or additions to our agenda? If not, do I have a motion to approve our agenda as it is now, with one removal, item B, and one addition, item J?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda with the changes.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving our agenda with the removal of item B and the addition of item J, please do so by raising your right hand. All in favor? All opposed? I vote with the removal and the addition, so it would be 3-2. At this time, the next part of our agenda is presentation. We did have a couple of presentations this evening. One is not here, but one gentleman did come, and I'd like to present this special certificate. And I will read the letter that I also have that our town manager has prepared to go along with our certificate. On behalf of the town of Hope Mills, Mayor, Board of Commissioners, and myself, I would like to thank you for your dedicated efforts on June 26, 2020, in beautifying the Hope Mills Lake. Hope Mills Lake is the heart of our town, and we take great pride in it. Your selfless endeavor to collect multiple bags worth of garbage that was polluting our beautiful lake is no small feat. We thank you for your service to this community, and we recognize you with this certificate of appreciation. And the certificate states, in recognition and appreciation for your public service to the town of Hope Mills for your cleanup of Hope Mills Lake on June 26, 2020. And I'd like to present this to Michael James Mocan.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'll shake hands.
Appreciate it.
All right, and here you go. And here's your letter. Thank you so much. We appreciate it so much.
Definitely.
Yes.
And I'll continue to do that next time I go.
Thank you. We
Thank you.
appreciate
Thank
this.
you.
Yeah.
especially
Thank you.
We're trying to make a focus on cleaning up Hope Mills, and what a better place to be than down in Lake
And I
Ozarks.
love doing it, so
Thank
it's
you.
good for both of us,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Thank you so much.
That's good. Another round. Very good.
Also, I need to, and I should have done this at the beginning of the meeting, Commissioner Marley, who is in charge of the emergency services in the county he works, is there tonight because this is when duty calls and when, of course, this is his time to be in charge and be active. So he is there this evening instead of here, but keep him and of course, everyone that's working with him and your prayers too, because he will be out in the forefront this whole evening as we prepare for the storm. Next, we have an update. All right, presentation B will be made at the next board meeting. All right, the presentation C is update on the public safety building by Finance Director Drew Holland.
How y'all doing this evening?
How are you? Good.
Okay, just to give you an update of, first I'll go over what was our original plan as far as the funding goes for the public safety building. Not that the funding is any kind of jeopardy, it's just more than likely going to be delayed. So the original plan was that it was going to be approved sometime in April. We turned it in to USDA, the application for the loan package, late February, early March, before the pandemic happened. About mid-March to the end of March, USDA was completely shut down for a time. They picked back up again sometime in April, and I thought they were in the midst of reviewing the application because they requested some extra stuff and some updated information from me. So I thought, okay, this is rolling like it's supposed to be at this time. So I responded, gave them everything that they asked for, and then waited and waited and waited. And we're still waiting. It is turned in. They have everything that they need. But now we're coming up on their year end. And like our year end, usually our year end is June 30th. And usually probably sometime near the end of April or in May, we cut off spending for the year to kind of help make ends meet at the end. USDA's year end is September 30. Their cutoff is tomorrow for spending. And when I talked to our representative today, I've been keeping up with him weekly, and he didn't have any new news for me as of 5 o'clock today. So I'll check with him one more time tomorrow. But what that does is it doesn't mean we're out of the picture. It just means we're out of the picture for this budget year for USDA. They will approve no more loans before September 30th. That means we're back on the table again come October 1. He said as of last Thursday, we were third in line for major projects. That means there were 2 major projects in front of us that they had to approve before they got to ours. I don't know where they are in those 3. He didn't tell me today. He just said he was trying to help us push it through. But as of 5 o'clock again, he hadn't heard anything different. So if we find out, best case scenario at this point, if we find out tomorrow it is getting done and it is approved, then it goes to committee. And then they approve it the next month. So if it's approved tomorrow, it goes to committee. We'll have it approved in September. At this point, that's the best case scenario. That's what I'm hoping for tomorrow. If that doesn't happen, which more than likely it's not, then it'll come up again in October, depending if they've approved either one of the other 2 loans ahead of us. Ours will either be still third or first or second or wherever it falls within that. And then it'll go to committee and be approved in November. So it's not the end of the world. It doesn't mean we're not going to get the loan. It just means we're going to have to wait a few more months. As I said, the original plan was it was going to be approved back in April, and then we would bid it out, and once we received those bids, we were going to break ground in May or June. Obviously, now that is not going to happen, so depending when it's approved, then we can bid it out, and then once we receive those bids, select a general contractor, then we can work towards having a groundbreaking. So best case, we find out in September. we get the balls rolling, maybe break ground in October. At this point, worst case, it's approved in November, and then we can start the process and either break ground December, January, something along those lines. So I wanted to keep this positive, so it's still going to happen. It's just we're going to have to wait a few more months. So that's the main update on the loan at this time, and I'll take any questions that you might have about the financing for the project.
Madam Mayor, ma'am,
Yes, sir.
we're paying rent on a building for the police,
Yes,
so we're not gonna tear this building down until,
until the loan is approved, yes.
right. I would hope so, thank you.
Right, me and Melissa have discussed that, and nothing, the building is empty right now. And the fire department would like to train in that building before we tear it down, but we're not even gonna let them train in it until this loan is finalized and we have that approval.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Holland?
Okay,
Thank you, sir, and please head home.
well, hopefully I'll find out something tomorrow. If not, then I'll be coming back to you at a later point.
Yeah, well, you
And
drive
we'll
safely
still
on your
make
way
it happen.
home.
But one thing it is going to do as far as leasing that other building, at this point, we are probably going to have to extend that lease because the plan that we had originally, if we would have been able to break ground in May or June, it would have fallen perfectly into that lease that we had already agreed to. Now that it's being backed up 3, 4, 5 months now, we may have to add on to some of that lease. So just to let y'all know, that's probably going to have to happen. All right?
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Be safe getting home. Okay, next we have no public hearings, and now we have public comments. We do have several public comments that are by way of email to Ms. Starling, and we also have several that are outside to come in. I don't know if Ms. Starling, if you would want to do the ones that you have first, or you want to wait and complete those at the end.
Whichever you prefer. I think if we let people come in so they can.
And then
go
you
ahead
can
and
finish
leave.
it at the end, okay?
Yeah.
The first person is Marion Caldwell.
Ms. Caldwell? Ms. Caldwell?
Hey, Dan. Hey, I just tried to call you on your cell phone and then it went to voicemail. Okay, so
Hello. If you just introduce yourself and your address, and then you have 3 minutes to speak.
Okay.
Okay?
My name is Marion Caldwell. I live at 3609 Suchak Drive on Hope Mills, which is right up the street. And I've already tried to email everybody on the panel, and a couple of people didn't go through. But I did get a message back that my original comment went through. And we're very concerned about this upcoming road extension that they're trying to put through. And I live at the very end of Crenshaw Road, which is going to be directly affected if they do this extension. Because people are either going to come down Crenshaw and extend it down to Rockfish to turn, or they're going to take a left turn on either Crenshaw, and you have to look at the map. No matter how they do it, if they have an extension going into that new development, it's going to affect the entire neighborhood. Crenshaw Road, Crampton Road, and Suchak. And Suchak is already being used as a detour for people that don't want to go with the speed bumps that are on Crenshaw. So they already use it as a racetrack. They speed down there, trying to get to the light so that they can turn onto Gulfview and go up to the light. So it's already a mess, and if they open this road, it's going to be impossible at certain times of the day for us to even get out of our driveways. And there's 5 people that live along my stretch. We're right in the middle of it, and everybody's concerned about it. I understand there's a lot of people concerned about children walking on the streets. A lot of people walk in those neighborhoods, and it's just something we heard about recently, and we were all completely taken back by it, because we kind of feel like they snuck this through on us. We didn't even know about it. So I'm just the first of quite a few people out there to talk about this situation, and I hope they will give more consideration to the people who have lived here, like we've been here for 35 years, And a lot of people who are going to speak tonight have been here quite a few years as well. We have a nice little neighborhood. It's always been pretty safe, but this will really change the whole dynamics. I know you don't see why in the world they can't exit right back onto Gulfview. So that's what I have to say.
Okay, thank you, ma'am, so much.
Thank you.
Next, we have Linda Curry. Just need to come to the microphone, introduce yourself and your address, and then you have 3 minutes.
Please speak
And
into the mic and take your mask
Yes.
off so we can hear you.
Hi, my name is Linda Curry, and my husband Henry has lived on Crampton Road and then on Ross Court respectively since 1974. I have lived on Ross Court for the past 24 years, since our marriage June of 1996. So I'm not a newcomer to the neighborhood. We are not only concerned about the safety of school children entering the crosswalks around the school, but the congestion in and out of our cul-de-sac, which is Ross Court. Ross Court is located directly across the street from the school access walkway on Crampton. Additionally, it is already very difficult and at times even dangerous exiting Crampton onto Rockfish Road. The new complex will exacerbate this condition to a breaking point for us and everyone else on and adjacent to Crampton Road in Gulf Acres. I have always been taught that if you're going to complain about something, accompany the complaint with a viable solution to the situation. As soon as I first learned of the road plans, which was not that long ago, I asked those I was speaking with this question. Why don't they build the road out to Gulfview Road and put in a traffic light? If it is so clear to me and many others, my hope is that it will become as clear to those planning the new complex. I respectfully submit my concerns along with my husband Henry, who is outside, in this matter. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Just to sort of respond, because I know that it might help, is that we do have a committee that now has, there's actually 2 pieces of property to be developed. And we have a committee made up of the developers of the 20 acres, the developers of the 30 acres, and the town. And that is, and DOT is at the table. And that is, the plan would be to have the access on Gulfview, and then there'd be a shared driveway with the necessary things to make it safe. So that's the plan, and that's what we're working toward. And that's why I don't believe you've been given enough information to know that there's even something on our agenda tonight as far as getting that driveway engineered on Gulfview to find
Okay.
out the total cost. So if you can share that with your neighbors so they'll know that it is a process we're working on. We have listened, and we're trying to do something as a solution.
Okay, thank you very much.
Uh-huh. Next, we have Jonathan Thorne. Good evening. If you'll introduce yourself and your address, and yes, you can take your mask down so we can hear you.
My name is Jonathan Thorne. I live on 3501 Crampton Road. I'm actually the corner house across the street. I'm going to approach this differently. I know everybody's giving you logistics and things like that, but I want to approach it as a family. I've been living here for 28 years and lived in that house all my life. We moved away for a couple years because I raised a family and went to college. We moved back to Hope Mills because this always has been a rich history of this town about being families and a community as one. And it breaks my heart we're even here discussing about a possibility of a road going down a neighborhood that could destroy a neighborhood because some company wants to be cheap enough not to connect the Gulfview Road. They'd rather get cheaper and then bring it through a neighborhood where now this neighborhood is thriving with kids once again. If you see down the road, we got signs about slowing down. You hear the access of kids and coming out of the elementary areas, and we have people speeding now I can't even imagine what 400 plus cars are going to be like coming down, especially with me being on the corner. You already have some of my property was already getting taken away by the road anyways. Then we're at the YNR Crampton Road, so that's more property plus a sidewalk. So not only am I getting my property taken even more away, we're destroying families because kids aren't going to be able to play in the front yard. My kids play in the front yard on their scooters. They won't be able to do that as much now. I see other kids playing in the front yards down the street. They won't be able to do that so much because people are going to be constantly congested with cars. And how am I supposed to get out of my own house because it's going to be so congested? So I'm saying, put yourself in my shoes and see it as, would I want a company to come in and destroy my family's neighborhood, my childhood neighborhood that I grew up with? And why would I want that, especially if this community is all about families? Why would we want that? And so that's why I'm here to voice my concern about it. It's if Hope Mills is about families, then we need to stay true to that honor and represent it that way, and not allow some company to come in and destroy it when they can connect to Golfview and just go out of Golfview.
And I guess that you haven't been given full information either. There is a committee right now with the developers of the 20 acres, the developers of the 30 acres that's next to it, and then, of course, the town and DOT. They had a successful committee meeting, and there is a proposal as far as a plan to engineer and find out the total cost to put a driveway all three entities could share off of Golfview and to make it safe. We have listened, and we are working, and we do have a committee that is very active, and it's made up of the people that bought the property in good faith. When they bought the property, I don't think it was a case of being cheap or not wanting to. That was access that's listed. But just know that if you can share that with your neighbors, that our goal too is to preserve the neighborhood.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. You'll introduce yourself and give your address. And
Todd Osborne, 5762 Crenshaw Drive, Hope Mills, North Carolina. Been a resident at that address for 21 years and a resident of Hope Mills for 33. I had a speech prepared, but some of you decided to show yourselves tonight and threw that out the window. Opening a Crampton Road is not an option. Our neighborhood is dangerous enough within itself, not just getting in and out, but within the neighborhood. The mayor is aware of that. She has told me as such in an email as she's been mayor while many of the steps have been taken to try to make our neighborhood safer. Now you're talking about, in the most dangerous part of the neighborhood, adding another 200 to 400 vehicles a day. Sorry, that's not acceptable. And we should not be leveraged as residents. The town should close the road, period. And whatever your committees decide, as far as the developers connecting to Golfview, that's on the developers, not the residents. Thank you.
thank you, sir.
Julio Warple.
Hello. I'm back. I didn't really have anything prepared. I just wanted to voice my opinion once again about how I have grandchildren in that neighborhood. We've lived there 24 years. I'm at 3509 Crampton Road. And as you can see, we've gotten other neighbors that we know and have always been friendly with on Crampton Road. And I am just wanting to reach out to you all again to close that property on Crampton Road, so that it cannot be turned into a entrance to the complex. We've heard what you were saying about Golfview. We all think that's a great idea. Take it out there and have the developers take it out there and let that be the entrance. And I would appreciate that you all would vote that. I've sent emails to all the commissioners and the mayor and both of you all. And the only person who wrote me back was Mr. Legg. And I really appreciate that
Thank you.
with my email. I'm so glad someone did respond to the email I sent out. So, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hey, y'all.
Okay.
How you doing this evening?
Great, sir.
I got my wallet out, but not to pay you off. I'm Mike Gillis, 3616 Crampton Road. Been a resident here since 1986. Been actually in Cumberland County since 1955, off and on. We moved here to Gulf Acres because the schools were good at the time. We raised our two daughters here, and a whole bunch of other teenagers used to come over to our house and hang out. And it's a great little neighborhood, and it's still a good neighborhood. You know, but now with this doom looming over us, the potential of opening up Crampton Road significantly decreases the peaceful little neighborhood that we have, where we have a lot of families who walk every evening and just throughout the day. You know, we have limited traffic. We have a lot, but not as much. And you know, in 2014, we had people coming from off the golf course and using our neighborhood as a walkthrough. They would walk down through that Crampton Road dead end. And it got to the point where people were breaking into cars. We had houses burglarized. So in 2014, myself and a group of citizens erected a fence with the permission of the YMCA and the town. It's an 8-foot fence, prison wire, and guess what? And you no crime. You can actually go to the police records and verify that. You know, I beseech you to close Crampton Road permanently, so we don't have that issue, so we don't have increased traffic. You know, we need to maintain what we have and utilize the existing main infrastructures that are out there now, and that's Rockfish and Golfview. But we don't need to dump any more on Crampton Road. That's all I have to say. Do you have any questions? I'm adamant about this, and
we
you know,
have-
I'm ready to go to the mat on it.
Well, we have a committee that has met, and even on our agenda tonight is a proposal to get engineers to come up with a driveway on Golfview that can be equally shared by the 20-acre property owner, the 30-acre property owner, and the town. So we're moving, that committee and DOT have worked together, and so we're hoping that very soon we'll have a solution to your concerns. We have listened, and the board is working diligently to make this happen. And right now, we have to have that opening, and we've got to work toward getting a safe exit and entrance off of Golfview, which is what we're hoping that will happen also.
Well, I certainly hope so, because yeah, we can't stand it in our neighborhood.
Yeah, we understand.
You know, and I've got people with little kids up and down Crampton and Crenshaw, and I'm little ones, and we have elderly folks here too. I mean, almost as old as you and I, Jerry. They're pretty, you know, they're limited what they can do, and we can't have anything else to impede upon that. Yeah, and I know you understand it. And you understand why myself and 423 other people agree with us. Okay, thank you.
And we're
Thank you,
listening.
sir.
Thank you, sir.
Nelson? Mr. Nelson?
Hello.
My mask on off.
Yes, you can take it off
right.
and just introduce yourself and your address.
Good evening, Council, Madam Mayor. My name is Clifford Nelson. I live on 3611 Crampton Road with my wife Kay. We've been here for 30 years. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a very bad way to do traffic to this is just a disservice to the citizens of Hope Mills on our side of on this side of town. It's a disservice to force even the would-be renters, I guess they're going to be renters in the complex you plan to connect with a single-family dwelling neighborhood, to force them to come through a single-family dwelling neighborhood, primarily Crampton Road, and they'll use other streets to scurry about and get out there as they find time. And a school, Rockfish Elementary School, which is already kind of a bit of jeopardy in the school traffic and high volume traffic we have in the morning. It's still not good. It's dangerous enough. It's a disservice to connect us together when you have a main thoroughfare, Golfview Drive, going to the ramps on 295, the loop that will move traffic, speed traffic to Fort Bragg, downtown, back to the interstate, I-95. Ladies and gentlemen, please consider closing that option to open up Golfview Drive. The scourge of potentially 250 more vehicles exiting and during the morning hours and coming in during the afternoon hours, plus the others, it's just going to make it very dangerous. It's already dangerous in the neighborhood. Crenshaw, Crampton, Masters, all Sochek. It is dangerous at times. People speed a lot. I know you heard a lot going on here, and just please consider the right thing to do. Consider it's the right thing to do for the citizens of Hope Mills. Put that traffic out on Golfview Drive. You're going to have that place with turn lanes. It's going to widen. You've got a main thoroughfare going to an interstate ramp, 295.
That's
It's going to happen. It'll be next year. Probably it'll be done by the end of next year. I don't know.
That's what we're working on, and I wish that you had been informed prior to tonight that we even have, the committee has met, there's a property owner for 20 acres, 30 acres to town and DOT, and they are moving forward with an access plan for Golfview with a shared driveway, and DOT was at the meeting also. So the good news is there's even something on our agenda tonight about a proposal from 4D Solutions as far as engineering what that might look like as the driveway. So we have listened. We listened the last time when we had such a group and the petition, everything that was brought forward. So I wish, give time and then we'll, the goal is to use Golfview.
I'm glad to hear that. Anybody in Golf Acres, Brightmoor on the committee?
Yes, Eddie Maynor.
Okay.
Eddie Maynor is on the committee,
Okay.
and he did attend the meeting, and he did speak for the community, and he did have contact with several people that he had listed that he could name off that he had talked to about the concerns. But he has lived over there too, probably
Yeah,
40 years too. Okay.
I know him. All right, thank you for hearing me.
Thank you,
Have a good
sir.
evening.
Thank you for coming this evening. Okay, Ms. Starling, if you would like to start.
Okay, Mayor Warner, my first comments that I received were from Brian Smith. He neglected to state his address on the email. He
I'm
states,
sorry, ma'am, what was that name again?
Brian Smith.
When you conclude, can we just make a copy of those for the commissioners? That way they can have the information.
Certainly.
She'll make you a copy, Commissioner Legg.
Thank you.
Mr. Smith states, I'm asking the commissioners to vote yes to the closure of Crampton Road. This will basically lock down the issues of opening this as a roadway through a small subdivision. Please submit my comments as in favor of the permanent closure of Crampton Road. Thank you and God bless. End quote. The next comment is from Mr. James Reed, R-E-E-D. My name is James Reed, and I live at 3709 Masters Drive in the Golf Acres subdivision. I have lived at this address since 1985, and when I moved here, Masters was a dead-end street where it intersected Trevino. The traffic situation wasn't bad at that time, and then along comes Brightmoor, and the traffic more than doubled on our street. I feel that if Crampton Road is opened as the only way into and out of the proposed development, it is going to be a nightmare for the residents in Golf Acres. I would like to see Crampton dead end at the property line where it stops now. Sincerely, James Reed, concerned Hope Mills citizen. Our next statement is from Mr. Anthony Basile, B-A-S-I-L-E, at 3716 Suchak Drive. Hello, below is an email I composed and sent to our mayor, Jackie Warner. I would like this email, along with that one, to be read aloud at the meeting as it reflects my family and my own view on the proposed opening of Crampton Road to the construction project on the golf course. It also reflects many of my neighbors on Suchak Drive views on the proposed use of our roads. I have been made aware of speed bumps that had been removed from the roadway in front of my house and other locations in my immediate area. This removal of the speed bumps has caused an increase of through traffic down my block instead of Crampton because there are speed bumps on Crampton that are necessary to protect our children for the school crossings. The opening of Crampton Road will further exacerbate the problem of safety, and those drivers who seek to go around the necessary safety devices and already do actively speed down Suchak Drive to go around the speed bumps on Crampton Road. Installing or opening of Crampton Road to more traffic will result in more of this type of situation and also endanger the families that like to walk, bike, and jog around our neighborhood. Please do not endanger our neighborhood to feed a development that is not popular with the Golf Acres subdivision. My family and I have moved from New York and chose this area because of the quiet and safety for our soon-to-be school children in our household. Please do not make us consider that our decision to move to this quiet area was wrong. Mayor Jackie Warner, we request the complete and permanent closing of Crampton Road that will be discussed and voted on 3 April 2020 as presented by Commissioner Bellflowers. I am requesting a simple yes or no on closing Crampton Road. I do appreciate those commissioners who responded to this issue in the past. We do not want the developers of the project to send traffic that could endanger our home and family through our neighborhood. There already is a high amount of traffic down Suchak Drive. Please do not send more traffic into the area. Please motion that the traffic be sent to this new project from Gulfview Road. Thank you. Our next comment is from Rod McLean, 52435 Fountain Lane, Hope Mills, North Carolina 28348. I have been following the recent activities and discussions on the proposed Par 4 development, and I am extremely disturbed by some of the reports I am hearing. Firstly, allowing the developer to use Crampton Road as the entry and exit for the proposed development is not only ill-advised, it is increasing the traffic flow in an area not suitable for increased traffic. There is a high number of children using the roads in this area to walk to and from school, and the increased traffic is not conducive to safety. Secondly, the developer has access to state and town-maintained road, Gulfview Road. I do not understand why the town of Hope Mills does not require the developer to request access from the state and provide the required merge lanes at their cost. The idea that the town should propose circumventing this action and allowing the developer to save the cost of merge lanes by using Crampton Road is very short-sighted and in honesty very disturbing. What exactly are the benefits the town will gain by allowing the developer to use Crampton Road? This is the type of behavior that strongly hints to unethical practices being used, and we cannot afford any more negative views of our town. Thirdly, in all the discussions and reports I have heard, there has been absolutely no discussion of the infrastructure to support the additional 144 housing units. We all know the transportation infrastructure of the town is probably already over its capacity. Just look at the traffic during peak hours, but what about the schools to absorb this new population? Rockfish Elementary School is already overcrowded. Hope Mills Middle and Southview are probably in the same position. How can the board justify additional housing when there is no way to move people or to educate the children? I would greatly appreciate the board's response in the near future as to how this will be satisfied. Thank you. Our next comment is from Richard Lutgenau at 5758 Crenshaw Drive. Ms. Starling, I'm requesting that the following statement be read in its entirety to the mayor and commissioners at the commissioners' meeting on 3 August at 7 p.m. during public comments. Madam Mayor, Town Commissioners, as of this morning, we have 416 petitioners that have signed our petition to not open Crampton Road into the Par 4 Village project. Thursday evening, myself and 3 other Gulf Acres residents walked through Gulf Acres passing out flyers. We found no one in favor of opening Crampton Road. I would personally like to thank Commissioner Bellflowers for his timely submission of a new agenda item to permanently close Crampton Road, which will come up at the commissioners' meeting Monday night. I would request that all other commissioners support this new agenda item to close Crampton Road. In addition, if the mayor is required to vote, that she also supports the closure. As a 45-year resident of Gulf Acres, I'm asking that we do the right thing and close Crampton Road. The residents/voters are watching very closely. Thank you. The next comment is from Mr. Craig Hampton to mayor and members of the board and town clerk. Please be advised that my wife and I have resided at 3531 Crampton Road for the past 30-plus years, and we are against use of Crampton Road as an access/egress that's needed for the proposed apartment project adjacent to the formal golf course. We are in fact against the apartment project completely at the proposed site and the one to soon come soon. We would much prefer that the town acquire all available property adjacent to the golf course and build a golf training and learning center and a course designed for children's programs 18, physically disadvantaged veterans, and the elderly. Realizing that won't happen, the developer should bear all costs associated with an effective access/egress from Gulfview Road. The daytime traffic on my portion of Crampton is already excessive during the hours associated with Rockfish School's start/close. It's a speedy cut-through. Assuming things will get back to normal one day, the additional traffic from the apartments would create a greater serious risk of injury on a daily basis. The town should not be so eager to obtain more development at the cost of using best practices for overall development of the entire area. If closing Crampton Road is the action that will get the results I have an interest in, then I am in support of that action. If I need to voice my objection to using Crampton Road for the aforementioned purpose in another manner or time, please advise, and I will do so. Thank you for your consideration on this matter. Respectively, Craig Hampton. that is the last comment that I have.
I want to thank all those who made comments this evening. And again, it is on record that I have responded to try to ease a little bit of the concern in that we are working with the developer and DOT to come up with the possibility of a driveway on Golfview. The next item on our agenda is our consent agenda. Is there anything that you would like moved from consent agenda to new business? If not, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda that's before you?
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Seeing none opposed. The next item on our agenda is old business, and that's consideration of approval of forming a new committee to engage 18 to 39-year-old citizens. And I'll turn this over to Dr. McCray.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to thank everybody that submitted name suggestions for this new committee, and for the sake of time, I have talked with some millennials and some Generation Zs, and they have suggested the prime movers, so I would like to name the committee the Hope Mills Prime Movers. So, Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to name the new committee the Hope Mill Prime Movers.
Okay, we have a motion. Have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion in reference to this new committee? If not, all those in favor of the naming of the new committee as Hope Mill Prime Movers, signify by raising your right hand. Seeing none opposed. Thank you and good luck with that new committee.
Thank you, ma'am.
Next, we have item item A, which is under new business, discussion and consideration of the adoption of the ADA transition plan. Once adopted, the plan will be sent to NCDOT and the Civil Rights Office for review. And someone going to talk about that, or we're just going to go based on, you had within your packet, you do have the plan. Is there anything that you would like to ask questions about in reference to this? Any questions any of the board members have? It's behind tab 6, so I guess the main question is, do we want to approve this evening so that it can move forward?
Yes, you all have to formally adopt the ADA transition plan, and once that is adopted, it will be sent to NCDOT, Civil Rights Office for review, and just sort of going over what has transpired. The Public Works Department, Public Works Director Don Cisco and Assistant Public Works Director Bruce Clark have reviewed, worked with Stewart. There's been some, review back and forth, some changes were made. So I believe that they're satisfied with the plan. And they're here if you have any questions.
Okay, is there anyone that has any questions about this?
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
I'd just like to say, from what I can see, it looks pretty well done, very extensive. So,
Yeah, that was my thought too, that it's very, it seems like we got everything's covered. All right, with that, do we have a motion to adopt the ADA transition plan? And with that adoption, then we'll be moving it to NCDOT and the Civil Rights Office for review.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to adopt the ADA transition plan so that can be sent to NCDOT and the Civil Rights Office.
All right, I have a motion, to have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Seeing none opposed, it's 4-0. The next thing on our agenda is item C, and that's discussion and consideration of the revision process for the Town of Hope Mills subdivision ordinance and scheduling of a workshop as requested by Mayor Warner and Commissioner Bellflowers. My part of this, so that I can tell you what I was looking for, was to have staff do as we had started looking at them previously, and then staff bring them back to us, and then having a mini workshop on the proposals of staff. And the reason why I say that is there's so many things to deal with, and I've been going through the notebook of ordinances that was printed for me, and I just believe that if somebody that knows what to look for to update it, and then bring it back. So that was my thought, is not so much our participation in the workings of it, but in the approval of what comes back. So, Ms. Adams, is that something that you can coordinate and take care of? And then let the board be on the end of looking at the changes? Because I think we can better ask questions when we see what the changes are or what the additions are to what we already have. Because I think we know we need to do something because it has not been updated in a while.
Yeah. My suggestion in this is if any of the members have anything specific that you want to see addressed or changed, just send those to Chancellor and myself, and then that's something that we can certainly
Okay.
work on, so.
That way, if you've got an opportunity to take a look at it, it is on our website also. If you got an opportunity, what you could do is email, or anything that you know that we've heard along the line that we don't address, that we could potentially address. Anything you wanted to add to that, Commissioner Bellflowers?
Mayor, I think you hit it.
Okay,
I mean, the study group was the main part of that,
okay,
driven by staff and then with additional input from the board,
okay,
in the collaboration.
okay.
Mhm.
And do we have a time frame that we could suggest that we have some input or brought back to us? Do you want to say,
Well, okay.
I know
so
there's a
we
lot
put
going
an
on.
August calendar back behind.
uh-huh,
If you wanted to schedule, your first workshop, my suggestion would be maybe later in the month to give, staff time to.
why don't we just wait then, let staff propose an opportunity when they have something ready?
We could put it back on the agenda for a workshop date, the next meeting, the
Okay.
17th.
I think that would be good, and that way by then you could,
Acceptable.
yeah,
I would think at least 30 days.
Yeah.
Maybe the first workshop,
okay.
we would look at September.
yeah. And give them a chance to pull it together.
Yeah.
We're having 3 regular meetings in August due to the Labor Day holiday. So we'll have an August 31st meeting as well. We won't have one the Monday or the week of Labor Day. So it would be the second meeting, normally our second meeting in September.
Let's go with August 31st then. Is that
Maybe
too?
Schedule a 5 o'clock workshop.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is that good?
Okay.
that sounds good.
Yeah.
And that gives you time from now to then to look and see. And I would not anticipate having it all completed. I think if you did it by
Yeah,
sections.
sections
Remember,
or
we started something like that,
particular,
yeah,
yeah.
doing sections of it and then,
Chapters.
yeah, chapters, okay?
May I ask what, that date again, 31st of August?
August 30th.
August 31st.
Dan was trying to say something.
Yeah, Dan is trying to, sorry. Can't hear him.
Dan, we're not really hearing you very well. Can you hear me?
What time did you say it was?
5.
5. Yes.
You're kind of breaking up.
I'll tell you what, I'll email you what I was going to say.
Well, that was clear.
Don't move.
Yeah, okay. I was just going to say, if you want to let the board know that any guidance that they can give to the staff as to the changes they want to see
Yeah,
would be very helpful, because there are any number of changes that could be made to the ordinance.
yes.
So some direction as to
We hadn't said
what we
Yeah.
want to do with it would be
Yeah.
very helpful.
And we'll,
Thank you, Dan.
and then if we'll do that by email to Chancellor and Melissa, that'll be a way of tackling those maybe first. But if you look at by chapters too, you'll find if we could cover a whole section of things at one time and then get it done and move to the, I think that works well too, instead of jumping all around. Okay, all right, so August 31st, we're gonna say 5 p.m. for the first workshop, and that will be our workshop on ordinances. Okay, next we have discussion of town hosting and sponsoring a drive-through food and giveaway, back-to-school giveaway, and this I'll turn over to Mayor Pro Tem.
And I have some flyers.
Okay.
that I printed out for you all.
Thank you.
So, yep.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And I just think, I guess if we all agree to this, we would probably just need a consensus versus voting on it. The Second Harvest Food Bank has agreed to host a food drive distribution here on Saturday, August 15th at 9 a.m. If you all are familiar with the food giveaway that they did at the Crown Coliseum, closer towards the beginning of the epidemic around April, I believe, it went over very well. They actually were at capacity with the number of people that they could serve before it even started. So I just think that this is good and something that we can have hosted here in the Hope Mills community. There will be press release flyers from the Fell Observer, ABC 111, WRL, Spectrum News. Flyers will also be put on Up and Coming, our social media pages, Faith Today, local community news, and Facebook pages. And I think the only thing we would need is probably work with Chief Fachardo about helping to direct the traffic. But otherwise, if people want to volunteer, they can. But everything else is pretty much taken care of. The only thing we just need to do is just say we in partnership to host it here, and we have other member agencies in the community other than the Alms House. So this would be a way to, just service everyone in our community.
Madam Mayor, can this be a consensus item, or do we have to vote on it?
Yeah, I think big
No, I think that's
consensus,
fine.
yeah.
Mr. McLaughlin has also secured numerous volunteers, and we're gonna also reach out to CERT for, to help assist with the
Traffic.
traffic so that we're not taxing so much on the police department. So,
Thank you.
Okay.
yeah.
And the backpack giveaway, because the traffic, it'll be a lot of traffic, I think, just with the food drive.
Yes.
I think that, I'm calling it a backpack giveaway, but a school supply drive, I think we should set that up for a later date because of the traffic, and so that we can reach out to the schools and find out what are some of the needs that parents have homeschooling their children for the first 9 weeks of school. So we can work on that. If anybody has any suggestions for that, we can work on that at a later date. But I just don't think that, at first I thought maybe we can combine it, but I just don't think that we probably should.
Okay.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I expect there's gonna be quite a bit of traffic involved with this. What's the traffic flow plan? Is it to go through the back parking lot and back up, or what's the plan?
Chancellor, do you wanna, I think Chancellor has that worked out possibly.
Hey, how you doing? And as town manager has indicated, I pretty much secured all the volunteers. If I can get the new representative from CERT, because the Dickersons, this is my little hookup with CERT. They're moving, and so I do need to get the new communication with CERT. And once I can get them, I got about 15 guys locked in already. We have to actually meet on the 12th at the location to stuff the boxes, and then we'll need a good number of people here that day. If you look on the flyer, they actually put on there for the site to be accessed off of LaPriest Street. So it appears that the best way is to get them in this way, hook around, and back out. The traffic control will be the most tedious task, because the one at the Crown, if it started at 9, I think there are people out there at 5 o'clock in the morning. So what'll be the challenge is, how do you keep the site closed so people don't start pulling in prior to? My crew will be here. It starts at 9. My crew will be here at 6. So anything that you need from us, but I think mainly once the crowd control is handled, Second Harvest they do have requirements to register everybody, so they'll have their staff doing all that. So once it starts, it's really just a group of guys handing out boxes. They deliver all the items here as well. So on that morning, the volunteer efforts really are crowd control and just an assembly line. With COVID-19, nobody's getting out the car. Cars pull up, we put a box in the back seat, they pull off. So it's mainly meant just to come in and get out. But this one is pretty massive. And so we started out having a conversation with Alms House and Second Harvest, but what they said is because there are 3 member agencies in the whole town, they wanted to actually make it more regional. So this will go to Greeley, this will go to the other 2 agencies so that we can get it out there. Definitely concerned about making sure we get the elderly population and our youth out. So we'll do some things to help advertise as well.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. Very good.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is, I need to give you some information about a grant that, I would like, your approval for me to sign and send it in. Back in the minutes of the Historical Commission and around 2013 and 14, they proposed and actually got prices, and we're looking at putting a mural on Trade Street, and it was going to be of the old train depot, and it was going to go on the end building that belonged to Preston Johnson. Whatever reason, it didn't progress, and we ended up with a good plan and some good sketches of what it could look like, and even a picture of what the depot looked like when it was very busy back in 1908. So what I found, we do have possibly, I got the information about municipal grant through the Arts Council. And what this grant is, you can write it up for special type projects. And so what I've done is I've written it up to tie in with what our current historical committee wants to do, and that is to do a sort of a walking tour of the historical district to include the foundation where the old mill, Hope Mills Mill number 1 was, information about the buildings that are up there on Main Street, where we used to have town hall and the old library and the old general store. But what the mural would be a train depot, and patterned after the depot that we had in 1908. It'll also have a train coming into the depot that looks very similar to the train that came into the depot in that picture. Dennis Breckner will do the artwork. We have acquired permission to put the artwork on the building that used to be it's called the Brown's Grocery Store. It also was what we're familiar with it as the Donnie Spell Striping and Paving Building. That building has been blocked up and painted so that it has a flat front, but he is going to attach aluminum to it so that way if by some chance it's vandalized, he can remove a panel, correct it, and put it back up so that it would be long term. But I'm very excited about this. The project it's a $3,000 grant, and all total funding with estimates is $2,995. What they would do is expect receipts and canceled checks to be turned in, but they pay the money to the town up front. We don't have to put any money in it. It's not a matching grant. It's a grant to start mural number 1 with the goal of doing possibly up to 6. Starting there on that first building on Trade Street and moving down the street so that we can tie in what was there that has been taken down. So I just request permission to submit this and authorizing me to sign it so that we can turn it into the grants office at the Arts Council.
I'll make that motion, Madam Mayor.
Okay, have a motion to have a second.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. I appreciate this, and just know that this is something that I think is really important because this was an idea that's in the minutes back in 2013 and 14. So that's
I
a
was
good.
here through that.
As it's taken a long time to get there, but we'll have it soon. And we're looking for Old Mill Days. If we can work it out if we get approval and we get the money, we're looking for Old Mill Days to have it complete. Okay, next we have the discussion of the opening of the new Golfview Greenway driveway, and this is behind tab 11. And
Madam Mayor, I put this on the agenda because I was not sure if the board wanted to have an official ribbon cutting or opening, or if you just wanted it to be open and I think people are already using it from what I understand, but it's the board's pleasure.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I think it's appropriate to want the traffic in there now, especially under the pandemic that we're facing. I don't know that us having a ribbon cutting would make a big difference. So if we need a motion, I'd make a motion that we open it up and let the people use it now.
I agree with you.
I'm
I'll
in
second
agreement with
that.
that.
I don't
Okay.
think a ribbon cutting's necessary, just let people use it.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second. All those in favor to just open it up? Raise your right hand.
Just remove the
All right,
cones.
we're good to go. Open it up. All right, the next item on the agenda is, discussion and possible consideration for allowing the Parents Commission to make recommendations regarding the litter issue in Hope Mills. I asked for this to be put on the agenda and not to tax the Appearance Commission with something else to do, but I just thought it fits. It fits with them, and if they can, I know that we had worked with, Mr. McLaughlin and I had worked with the youth last spring, and we were gonna do a whole lot with the youth of Hope Mills, but I believe if we could get the Parents Committee to head it up, even to the point of possibly doing some of the signage in a positive way of getting people to help. I know if you put up, it's gonna be a $500 fine if you throw out trash. That's a negative way of doing it, but I've seen some of the signs that Parks and Rec has put up about the dog, the dog waste, and I mean it's telling you what you need to know, but it's done in such a way that it's appreciated. So, but I did just want to suggest that maybe that would be something that they could, and they being a commission, they can do a little bit more with talking to the people in charge of the litter sweeps and stuff, and then tie them into maybe some suggestions of what we could do.
It makes sense, Madam Mayor, that we get all the suggestions we can, because sometimes our minds just go so far. And we're burdened in.
Yeah.
So, I would make a motion that we allow them to discuss that and make recommendations.
Okay, I have a motion to allow the Parents Commission to make some recommendations regarding the litter issue in Hope Mills. Do I have a second?
I second
I
it.
have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Mayor Warner.
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to make a comment that Sunday, there was about 25 people that went up and down Cameron Road and cleaned up the intersection there on Cameron and Hope Mills Road and did a great job.
Super. Well, just like the gentleman that was here tonight that helped clean up, and we've got the other gentleman that works out on Golfview too. We've got some that are already doing some
Right.
things that maybe we could get them to come up with a plan of action so that we could encourage more citizens. All right, I have a motion and a second that we ask for the Appearance Commission to make some recommendations regarding the litter issue. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Seeing none opposed. Next, we have discussion and consideration of approval of engineering costs in the amount of $3,033.33 related to the Golfview Drive access. And this is what I was referring to when I responded to some of these people that were here this evening, is that I don't believe that they had listened, that the committee, our committee had met, and that they were working toward coming up with a solution. But I'll turn this over to you, or
Or Mr. Cisco, we can answer any
Okay.
questions, but this came out of the committee meeting that we had. The engineer is going to have to go back and re-engineer the plan, and if we're all gonna have our separate driveways. And so he presented us with the additional cost to be split 3 ways, $9,100, and they're asking that this be split 3 ways.
well, I want to speak to this because, of course, I'm passionate about this and the fact that we got everybody at the table, including DOT. Partnership like this, we need a driveway, we're paying the cost 1/3 of the engineering fees. I don't know what we paid for our temporary driveway engineering fees, but I know it had to be comparable to this. So just look at the savings. We need a driveway, and we're gonna be able to accomplish that by sharing it with the other two people. And then DOT was at the table, so we know that they were okay with the consideration of this, even gave us information about how to go about it. So personally, I will say this because I think this is important also, and I want the board to realize this too, is that there were, and it was brought to my attention on social media, lots of conversations about the cost of this. And I just want to say that the cost of this, the lump sum fee, is being shared 3 ways. So if we were putting a driveway in ourselves, that would be the fee that we would be looking at, possibly more. But this way, we're looking at accomplishing what we need, and also hopefully a good solution for those people that have been here this evening, because now that driveway would be on Golfview that developer so desperately needs to move for them. One other thing I think is important too, because having been a part of this committee, is there has to be some give and take, some sharing of land, some willingness to work together. And we saw that. I think Mr. McLaughlin can speak to that. We saw that with having all these heads together, and they were willing to look at how they could best do their development, but also do it in such a way to benefit our community. And I guess, Chancellor, I guess you could speak a little bit more to that, because you actually have talked to Scott when this was brought up too.
And again, the main reason why it was formed is because of the overwhelming response we got from the community about opposition to Crampton. So with that said, the 3 entities involved, we all 3 need an entrance off of Golfview. The timing of when we need it may be a little different. We maybe have a 5-year, 10-year plan on our golf course. At the time, Mr. George didn't have any plans on his, and the Part 4 is at the table. So when they were engaged by us to possibly reconsider Golfview, that's where it was an impossible opportunity to see where we can come, because if one entity comes to get this interest now by themselves, the other 2 lose their ability to have a second entrance or that entrance at that location. So the key is take all the costs as a lump sum. That's what would be the cost on each individual if they actually approach this alone. So if there is some trepidation about what the town is offering, just calculate what we would have to spend for the fairway entrance and this entrance if we were to do them all by ourselves. That doesn't mean that everything is a perfect solution, but the cost that you're considering now just in design, $3,000, is a third. It would be $9,000 plus. I'm not sure if Don can tell us what the engineering cost of the temporary driveway would be, but we had to pay that one ourselves. So that's the mentality or the frame of mind that's going into that. Every entity hopefully walks away from this deal with a single use of an entrance off of Golfview for their respective developments whenever they so choose to move forward.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
did I hear you say at Fairway, a turn lane at Fairway?
Well, we basically and what I meant by that is the temporary driveway that we have in place now. We know Fairway is somewhere in the vicinity of where we want our singular entrance to be. I'm saying that one we have to do our own. So if there was an opportunity for us to have to do the second driveway off of Golfview at this Part 4 entrance by ourselves, it would all be on us. So what you have before you tonight, it would be a 3-way split for that cost of the engineering services for that driveway entrance off of Golfview. I just mentioned Fairway as just a reference.
I'm not in favor of using the recreational area as a pass-through to the back housing area that may go in. I'm not interested in, we need to close our gates when we're closed, we're closed. You know what I mean? If that when the Parks and Recreation is through developing that, we need to be able to close those gates at nighttime if we want them.
And I think to answer your question, I think that would still be available to us because what you're getting out of this is a separate access to our piece. So you'll have a singular entrance off of Golfview for all three, but I think we would still have the ability to close off entrances, the entrance to our park at that entrance once you get off of Golfview at the time that our park is closed.
It's gonna be like a T. In other
A
words,
tee off, and then there are going to be three
yeah.
spurs
So
off of
what'll
it.
happen is our drive, and I believe that we're gonna have some of Mr. Bijou's, Mr. George's property. I think he's
That's one thing
he's
that
having-
kind of makes us all have to have this conversation together because
He's got the spot, and he's got the property where the driveway currently is. And if
Yes.
we can all work together, that means everybody's giving and taking. We're not giving anything.
No, we're not.
We're actually gaining because the driveway's gonna go on his property.
right now off of Golfview, the Par 4 group has 49 feet of frontage. That's it. In order to be able to do this, one of the numbers Richie threw out at the committee meeting was 200 feet in terms of a linear deceleration lane. The only way to achieve that is taking right away off of George's piece. So in order for us to get our cross access off of it, we have to actually go through his piece as well. So it's really impossible to facilitate this with all three parties not at the table, which is why everyone's still trying to work this out because I don't think Par 4 can get their entrance without right away from George. We can't get our cross entrance without him at the table as well. So that's why this is kind of unique, but I think that's why all three parties are interested in possibly pursuing this
Madam Mayor?
Yes, sir.
approach.
What concerns me, if we participate in the cost of this turn lane, every developer that wants to build in Hope Mills is gonna come and ask us to participate in a turn lane.
Well, I think it would have to be a unique situation where every one of those developers are developing a piece of property that we need access to in conjunction with their developments. And I don't think that scenario would present itself every time. I mean, this is a really unique situation because you have a developer seeking the same entrance we're seeking. And if he gets it by himself, it prevents us from using that same entrance. So this is a different scenario where I don't think it opens up the Pandora's box that I would even have concerns with myself in the event that if it sounds like we're telling developers that we're helping to facilitate their projects.
How can you refuse B if you let A do it? In other words, contractor A requests a development assistance in a turn lane, and then B comes along and wants it, how you gonna tell him no?
Well, right now, we may not have to have the turn lane. We're not saying we're assisting in the turn lane. What we're assisting in is the parties coming together at the table to get the driveway access. And if it means that we have to have the turn lane, or if we have to have the de-acceleration lane, we'll know that after they get this drawn. But right now, we've got to have a plan to submit of what the driveway is gonna look like and how it would benefit all of us. And the developer of Par 4 is actually going to be trading some properties with Mr. George, so it makes it work. And I guess, Mr. Cisco, maybe you can help explain.
Yeah.
This is an unusual situation because we do want to know what these two developers are gonna be doing, and we are, they're right there beside us. Go ahead.
Chancellor is absolutely right when he says that this is a very unique situation. Commissioner Legg, we need that driveway. If we're talking about another development someplace else, whether it be Valley End, we don't have an interest in Valley End. We don't have an interest in Georgetown. We don't have an interest in any other development that's going on. Right now, we have an interest in being able to have access to what is going to be our park area at the former golf course. We do have that interest. The problem that DOT has expressed to us is that we have three parties that need an entrance in very close proximity. And they will not, and I'll repeat this, they will not grant 3 separate entrances. They've already come to the table and they've said that. DOT came to the table with all the parties that are interested in this because they felt that they would be part of something good, essentially, that can come up with a solution that everybody has access. To put it in simple mathematical terms, we are going to require a deceleration lane. That's going to happen. The folks from DOT already told us that. We're going to have to come in 200 feet out to the right-of-way. That's going to happen. If we did that by ourselves, it would cost at least $200,000. That does not include the engineering fees. If we partner with the folks, it's a third. So you either spend $67,000 of the town's money to gain access to our property, or you spend $200,000 of the town's money, maybe if you can get access to that property if we're first in line.
What concerns me is just that point. This is not my money. You
You're
know?
absolutely, and that's why everybody's at the table trying to come up with a palatable solutions that everybody can live with and everybody can work towards a common goal.
I know we discussed this a while back about how many entrance exits we can have, and I think we were told 1 or 2, and
2.
that was it. I'll be quiet for now.
Okay. Any other questions?
Okay, Madam Mayor, I guess it's my turn. Who's going to own the road, the street?
What street are you
Who's
talking
going
about?
to kind of walk me through what we're looking at as far as we're talking about a driveway, we're talking about a street?
It'll actually be a street.
It will be.
Yes.
Okay, so it's a driveway. Okay, I'm trying to reference, so back in March 19, we paid McAdams Group to do this master plan for golf course. I haven't heard it discussed, a little bit during the committee meeting, very little bit, but in that master plan that a prior board approved, we had 2 entrances. The master plan actually had 3, but Richie Hines from DOT said you can only have 2. One of them's at Fairway, and the other one was on the town's property off of Gulfview. So I guess what we're trying to decide now is the driveway and the road, who's going to own that? Is the town going to own that?
The road?
Yeah.
When that is developed, the standard course of action is that there is going to be no more private roads in the town. That's in the standards and specifications. All development is done with the understanding that the roads get turned over to the town for maintenance. So those roads going from Gulfview back through and around in those developments will be developed to the town standard, and they will be inspected and then accepted by the town for maintenance.
Okay, so they'll be eligible for power bill money.
They will be.
Okay, because we couldn't put any power bill money on this project. We couldn't put $3,033 on this project.
You cannot put POW bill money on construction.
Yeah, it's only maintaining.
It's for maintenance.
Okay, it's for maintenance
Maintaining
only.
streets and sidewalks.
Okay. What's Mr. Gardner's position here? Because I noticed he wasn't in this project at all.
As far as,
Yes,
he's not
he
a property
was.
owner.
He came to the meeting.
Go another way. He's not listed in this,
Sherry.
he's not listed as a partner in any of this proposal from 4D.
He doesn't have any vested interest in what we're trying to do.
mineral rights is not a vested interest for him?
Well,
He spoke about it in the last meeting.
mineral rights has nothing to do with the development itself. There are statutes in place to protect property owners, should something like that happen, but that is not something that the town owns any of those properties that fall under the umbrella of the question that you're asking. So we don't have an interest in what Mr. Garner's position is for mineral rights.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mayor.
Any other questions? If not, do we have, I need a motion to approve the town manager to execute a contract with 4D Site Solutions on behalf of the town and to jointly execute the memorandum of understanding with GMR Capital LLC and JNM of NC Inc. to equally share the cost of engaging for the purposes of engineering the reference site plan. And that's the information that you have before us. Our cost is $3,300.
$3,033.33.
33, yep,
A third of
So-
9,100.
right.
Can I ask another question?
Sure.
How come there's only 3 people involved in sharing this cost? There's Mr. George, Par 4, us.
That's it.
How about the 20 acres on the back that's gonna use that road eventually? They're
No,
gonna open it up.
That is the
that
developer.
is. That's par 4 is the 20 acres. Mr. George is the 30 acres, and the rest of it is the town.
Okay, the
There's only
same guy
3.
owns the parking lot, owns the back of the golf course?
Yes. In other words, he has the current driveway, the current parking lot, and he also has 30 acres all the way back. And then the 20 acres is the 20 acres that is off of Crampton, and it has the smaller property piece that runs by Mr. George's.
Right.
So we know now that Mr. George and Mr. Jacob have, Mr. Bijou and Mr. Jacob, I guess. And then the 3 owners of the 20 acres, we have all them at the table. So when they develop their property, we've got them talking to us instead of our not understanding what's going on. Now we've got everybody at the table, and this common driveway will be a road off of Goffview that then becomes entrances to we're just having to share with all of us in order to make this happen. He's trading really some property, I think. I'm not sure, but all I can tell you is it's good news for us is we got to have a driveway too, and we've got these people sitting at the table talking to us, and we know hopefully what's going to happen on their acreage too.
So what we're faced with is if Crampton Road is open,
The plan right now is the developer of par 4, his easiest and most inexpensive way to get in is Crampton Road. He is at the table to work with the town and the other developer to do a driveway on Goffview Road. So the people that have been saying that he was trying to do, not trying to spend money, that's why he was going to Crampton. Crampton is, according to DOT, is the access that they would recommend, but with all 3 parties talking together, they will listen to having the driveway on Goffview.
even
Come
Mr.
on,
Marley.
Commissioner Marley, come join us. You're fine, come on. Come on. Yeah, we're discussing we're talking about 4D solutions. So what, more questions?
I just like to make the motion.
Okay, ma'am, yes, ma'am.
Well, wait a minute,
Okay,
I'm not ready for a motion.
Oh.
I'm wanting to know what's gonna happen if this money is not approved. Is Mr. George gonna go through Crampton with his development as well?
no, he's got a driveway. He's just at the table talking to everybody else about how they can all work together. And he's
Madam.
willing to partner with everybody.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
if From what I can tell, I don't know what this big frenzy is about with all of these people with all of these emails, but the man can legally go through Cramden. We have nothing to do with that. We have not advocated for it. We have nothing to do with that. He can legally go through Cramden. If we don't have this partnership, because that's what we agreed to do, they asked for us to come up with a solution. We've tried to do that. We've come up with a committee. We put a citizen on the committee to speak for the residents. So if we don't come up with this driveway, the property is zoned for residential. We don't have any control over that. So if we don't come up with this driveway, he can still legally go off of Crampton if he wants to, which is why I asked to us to move that agenda item off tonight, because legally, we cannot tell that man he cannot extend that road, whether we like it or not. So this is the only viable solution that I think we all can come up with.
Thank you, ma'am. Yep. Any other comments? Okay, do we have a motion?
After what time? The pro tem said she ought to make the motion.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make the motion to approve $3,033.33 related to the Garfield Drive access. I didn't read the full list. Is that okay?
And that would be, and also authorize the town manager to execute the contract with 4D Site Solutions on behalf of the town, and execute a memorandum of understanding with GMR Capital and JNM of NC Inc.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, and that again is a memorandum of understanding with the other two groups, and also with authorizing our town manager to execute the contract, and that contract would be in the amount of $3,333.33. Have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed, so it'd be a 3-2. Thank you very much. Next on the agenda is discussion and possible consideration of ordinance amendment S 2020-03 allowing alcohol sales at 10 a.m. on Sunday. This is behind tab 14. And I'll turn it over to.
Yes.
Okay.
Madam Mayor. So I think back in 2017, we had a discussion briefly when the brunch bill passed, that I think the understanding was that we were not going to entertain that until we had a request. In my manager's report, the last meeting, I informed you all that we have had a request from a local restaurant that would like to be able to serve alcohol at 10. The proposed amendment is recommended, it's the language recommended by our town attorney, and it will allow alcohol sales of malt beverages, unfortified wine, fortified wine, and mixed beverages on Sundays beginning at 10 a.m. by any establishment located in the corporate limits of Hope Mills that holds a valid permit issued pursuant to General Statute 18B-1001. Sales of the beverages pursuant to this section are allowed only to the extent that they are pursuant to and within the scope of a valid permit issued pursuant to General Statute 18B-1001.
Anyone have questions?
Ma'am, I have a statement.
Okay.
These people ought to be in church on Sunday morning instead of selling liquor. Sunday belongs to the good Lord above to share with us. So I can't support this. Of course, most of you know me for a long time, know that I don't like drinking that much anyway, you know. Everybody to their own opinion, but that's my opinion.
Madam Moore?
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Moore. I'd like to make a motion that this be approved.
I'll second it.
Okay, so we have a motion that we approve the ordinance amendment allowing alcohol sales beginning at 10 a.m. on Sundays. Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed, be 4-1. Now, when would this take place? What's the next step?
Sunday.
Does Dan have any, is he still on the line? I'm not sure.
I'm still here.
Yeah.
The live feed went out on the video, which had much better audio for me, so I'm having trouble hearing y'all on the cell phone.
Okay. Dan, the question is, we've passed the amendment to the ordinance to allow the alcohol
Right.
sales. What is the next step? What do we need to do? What
I think
happens?
that's it. Once you adopt that amendment to the ordinance, I believe it's amended.
It's amendment.
allowed.
Okay. Do we need to notify ABC, the alcohol?
I suppose, yeah.
Yeah.
We probably could, yes.
Okay.
But I think it's just, yeah, there's no hearing or anything required, as long as as soon as we adopt it, it's part of our ordinance.
So it'd be official now.
So we
Okay.
should notify ABC, but other than that, that's the only step that needs to be taken.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All righty. Reports and information items. Mayor's Youth Leadership Committee, we're going to get those informational letters out to the school principals. And what we're going to try and attempt to do is have our first meeting by Zoom. And the idea is that we know that they're not starting back to school, and we don't want to miss out on starting the group back up. So we'll get the letters out with a time frame of when it would be good for the students. And then I've got to work with Ms. Starling to assist me in arranging us a Zoom meeting. But we're gonna do that. And that way too, we can probably schedule it at, rather than an evening time, we could probably schedule it during a daytime, working with the principals. Next thing is consideration of, or an update on the community meeting and a workshop with Dr. Wade. I'm gonna let Mayor Pro Tem speak to this, and yes, ma'am?
We added item J.
Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped right over it. And I wrote it down on this agenda. All right, I skipped over item J, and that was to, the recommendation and the request, by Commissioner Bellflowers that we open our, meetings back up to the public. At his request, Ms. Starling had also, found out what the other communities were doing as far as their meetings, and from that, the only community that has opened their meetings up is Stedman, and they said the reasoning that they gave, of course, is that their public attendance is so small, and they don't have more than 10 to 12 people at any meeting, and the rest of the time, all the others are saying that they haven't opened them up because they're holding them remotely. But we do have that behind the request to put this on the agenda. So I'll turn it over to Commissioner Bellflower since this was his item.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just had some residents asked about it, and I put it on the agenda for at least some open discussion about when and if we are going to open it back up and how we're going to do that. So I guess that would go to our town manager maybe for guidance on how to open it back up.
Yeah, and I think that's why, the attorney, Dan Hartson, said we should add this, because we probably need to put some protocols in place. Are we going to allow people to come in, without masks, or do we require them to have masks? How many people are we going to allow? So we just need to have some protocols in place.
You want to do temperature checks, for example?
Yeah, we're gonna do temperature checks. Thank you, Dan.
Yeah.
I've forgotten about that one. So it's up to the board, how you wish to proceed.
Mayor, I'm already in hot water tonight, so I would suggest that we do the temperature check, face mask, and chairs 6 feet apart, whatever that calls for numbers. I'm sorry, Mr. Bellflower, did I?
No, that's all right, Madam Mayor. I mean, I think all of us have been to different locations where chairs have been designated where people can sit and taped off where they cannot sit. And I just think it's the discussion to allow the public to come back is in the spirit of transparency. I know that we're doing them electronically, but I'm looking at the chairs. And if we designated certain chairs 6 foot apart, we required a mask, we could allow folks to come in here until those chairs are full. And I honestly think that's what we should consider doing. I appreciate all the research about other municipalities. This is our municipality. This is our community. And folks have raised that question. They've asked that. I mean, in fact, this week I was at a doctor's office and chairs in that office were taped. We have the same thing on campus. And I just don't know why we can't do that here. Because I think we should do it here.
If I may, speaking of open meetings and all of the public access, I think the video feed is down, so I'm not sure anyone is able to watch this. So we may need to try to fix the video feed.
It says it's on, I mean, it's got in stream,
Okay. Alrighty.
showing, that I could click on to stop it. It's,
Okay. Yeah, it's back. Mine was down for a second. Never mind. Sorry about that.
I'd like the board to establish some protocols to allow the public back in. And if the will of the board is to keep it like this, okay? But at least have the discussion.
Having been to some meetings where they take your temperature and make you wash your hands and do all that, they also are cleaning the surface. Like if every one of these chairs have to be cleaned before anybody comes in, and then if they leave before you can reuse them, they're cleaned. And then out there when they're whatever means you take their temperature, you're going to have to invest in some type of something that is not only accurate, but it's also something that you don't get too invasive, because I know the most recent meeting I went to, you had to walk up and you looked at it and it took your temperature, and I imagine they're very expensive. But I mean, my only concern is the fact that we are very fortunate that we're alive, and we also record our meetings, and our numbers that normally come, if those same people came, they're probably the same people right now that are watching us remotely. So that's my only thought I have is we're going to have to have staff that's going to be able to do those other things, and then we're going to have to make sure that we don't fall into a trap of somebody coming in and catching something and then saying it's because we weren't cleaned up like we should have been.
Well, let me ask this, Mayor. What's the protocols for that lobby then?
The pretty much protocol is they've got it so you can be 6 feet apart, but there at some point you have to assume your own risk, I think. So that's what's happened out there is they're out there because they want to be.
Well, the staff cleans
Yeah.
thoroughly before the meeting and after the meeting. It's first thing in the morning, they'll be in
Okay.
there at 7:30 cleaning.
Well, that was my next question. What's the protocol for the staff to come in and out of the building?
Yeah, so.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, one of my concerns is that, we have, without saying too much, we have a couple of staff members that, have some compromised systems or some health issues. And several of you on the board are older. That's my only concern.
Thank you.
That's all.
I'm the oldest.
But it's up to the board
Mayor,
what you wish to
I'd like
do.
to speak a little bit to what the manager just said. I agree with Mr. Bellflowers, and, you know, I think, you know, if we could get people in here, we need to, but we just need to make sure the timing's right. And you know, the governor gives out directives, on what to do. We need to be following that. I don't want to take a chance. I mean, we got both of our public, works directors here, the director and the deputy director. If somebody came in here from the general public, or one of us had it, and give it to them, well, you've knocked out 2 department heads. That's the man that writes the checks. You don't want him to go down.
No,
we need to, I know I said, but we need to be safe, and we don't need to, we want to make sure we do it right. If you want to have the discussion, I would ask the board to go with me and task the manager with coming up, just like this with schools, coming up with an A, B, and C plan, and bringing that back to us, a plan of opening up, you know, 3 different scenarios that we can do, bring it back to a meeting and present it to us, and then we can make a more informed decision.
Well, I agree with you, Commissioner Marley, and that's kind of the spirit of the conversation tonight was, I don't think anybody here was gonna decide on a plan, but to direct the town manager to bring back to the board a recommendation to reopen to the public. I think that's what I was asking for.
So, I mean, I'll make that recommendation. I don't know if it needs to be in the form of a motion, or we just do a general consensus.
Just the consensus to direct the town manager. Mhm.
All right,
Do you have a
Madam Mayor?
comment?
I'm sorry, Madam Mayor. My comment was just, I don't have a problem with it, but again, we do have older people here with us, and I don't want a staff member that has a compromised immune system to feel like they have to be here, it's their job. So I don't want them to be uncomfortable, because if something happens, yeah, that's all of us. It's you, it's the clerk, it's everybody. So I don't personally have a problem with it, but I do think we need to be, we do need to be very safe.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I think with Mr. Bellflowers and the Mayor Pro Tem, with what they do every day, and Mr. Murray's experience in his job, I don't have a problem if we leave it like it is for now. I think we're going back too soon on a lot of this stuff. Going back to school too soon, open up the restaurants too soon. I know people are getting bored or staying home, but they can stay home and be alive. So I don't have a problem if we leave it just like we've got it right now until this, if it ever clears up. So if we need a motion, did somebody make a motion?
We just asked for a general consensus of the board to
Okay, that's good.
allow the manager to
I
come
agree.
back with an A, B, and C plan.
I agree with Commissioner Marley. I'll second that if that's a motion.
Okay. Have a motion to let the town manager come back with some plans, and then we can decide if we want to do one of those plans. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Seeing none opposed.
And we can get 30 people in this room if we put those chairs 6 feet apart. There's enough rows there, and how many people do we normally have on a normal meeting night? So,
Yeah. Okay, next item is Dr. McCray.
Let me get my notes again.
Find it back again.
Thank you again, Madam Mayor. As many of you are aware, a couple of weeks ago, Senator Devier hosted a Zoom meeting with the town. It was open to the community. There were a couple of people that were invited to include Pastor Mathis, because he's a part of the Mayor's Coalition, and there was a community pastor that had reached out that wanted to be involved in some type of communication with our police department. Dr. Wade and some other folks from the Fayetteville-Cumberland Human Relations Committee, but anyway, to make a long story short, it was to start a dialogue between our community, our police officer, and one of the main things, topics of discussion was the 8 Can't Wait. I also asked for one of the protesters, Mrs. Blue. She had organized a couple of protests in Hope Mills, so I thought it would be a good opportunity and platform for her to ask questions that she would like as well. It started off as a good communication. We also had a follow-up meeting on this past Tuesday, and again, that included Veterans Committee for there, Mr. Gurley Mitchell and Mr. Green. Mayor and myself, we kept it under 12 people, so we had to try to keep it with 12 people in the room, no more than 12 people. But what they're going to do is they're going to host a training here. It's called Thug Training, The Hate You Give. It's based off of a movie. And it was actually brought to this area by Police Chief Hawkins from Atlanta. It is also a training that is going to be, is being widely used. But what you do is you get a couple of police officers, the sheriff's department, because they help serve some of our MIA areas, and some citizens. And we were back and forth. If you watched the movie before, I think we're going to go with you watch the movie and then you go out into breakout sessions with people that are trained and having tough conversations. I'll just say that. But the goal is, the end goal is, one of the pastors had noted that a lot of his young members were young males were afraid of the police. And so one of the number one groups that we're going to get is we're going to try to get youth involved, especially in all of our high schools. But we don't only want youth, we need people of different age groups, because when you do a breakout session, you want every age, race, ethnicity, background training. You want it widely diverse. So the end goal is you have a better relationship with your police officers, and it's you're talking about the movie, discussing the movie, but discussing yourselves and your community as well. So Pastor Mathis has agreed to host it, and we have to keep it under 50 people, and we have to make sure that we have all the protocol to allow for social distancing. But we do plan to have the training. We don't have a date yet. They were thinking maybe August, but we don't know yet. But it really is just a good way to start to engage your community, because at a time like this, you can't afford not to engage your community. So I think that's pretty much it.
Yep, great job.
Thank
And
you.
it's very worthwhile in that the people leading this would be people that have done this multiple times and very experienced in it. So it was a very good meeting we had. Next, we have our manager's report. Is there anything you need to add other than what we have?
No.
Okay. Of course, we got the reminders of all the meetings coming up. And then a liaison, Pat Edwards, you have anything from Appearance Committee or Mid-Carolina Council?
Mid-Carolina Council will not meet until the next quarter. I did go to the Appearance Commission. They have got a lot of really, really good ideas for Christmas this year. They want to have the lighting of the tree, but instead of turning it on so early, they want the mayor to come and have a lighting of the tree. Like, I know I've watched the Hallmark movies, and so has the mayor. But this is a highlight that everybody comes together to watch the lighting of the tree. And instead of having cookies and all, they're going to have s'mores stations set up. And they'll have other Christmas trees lit in Hope Mills, but the main one at the lake, they're going to do that at one time and have all the families together. And they've got a lot of really good ideas, and they're really working close with Lamarco and Parks and Rec.
Okay, sounds good. Commissioner Legg, Historic Preservation.
We have not had a meeting in a while. We do have one scheduled coming up. I believe it's the 12th of the month. And the RULAC meeting, I don't know what we're going to do on that yet. They haven't really sent me any notification. Drew stood into the last meeting for me because I was out of town, and that was just to approve their budget online by Zoom. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Marley, Veterans Affairs.
Yes, ma'am. The Veteran Affairs Committee, they did meet. I had to apologize to them. I don't have my notes with me. But I did talk to one of the members, Mr. Mitchell, and they had some question about an item that was on the agenda. And they actually had a letter. Mr. Mitchell had a letter that he wanted to give me to bring tonight. And I was at work late, so I didn't get a chance to get it from him. I'll bring it at the next meeting, but they did have some questions about item on the agenda about the ADA study, and that it listed different partners and agencies like with disabilities, and the Veteran Affairs Committee just said they felt like that they would have liked to have been a part of that due to the disabled veteran community in Hope Mills, and they were just wondering why they weren't involved in that study, I guess. That was the main thing. But I will have, Mr. Mitchell has a letter that he's gonna give to me, and I'll scan it in and try to email it to everybody so they'll have a copy of it. And like I said, I don't have my notes from the meeting, but everything was good. They're busy, I'll say that. But I will get that letter for all the board and the manager.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem, Parks and Rec, and the air quality stakeholders.
I'll begin with the air quality stakeholders, and again, I'll move very quickly because I can hear the wind outside. Mrs. Kia Jones is the new Sustainable Sandhills program manager, and right now they're focusing on a lot of things, how to keep your air quality clean in your house. It's called the 10 Simple Steps to Improve Air Quality campaign, and several of the grants. This People for Bikes grant was suspended this funding cycle, along with a lot of other grants pertaining to air quality and environmental causes. Parks and Recs Committee, and I will skip over some things that Commissioner Edwards and things that Town Manager Adams has in her notes. Biggest thing is sports registration is extended until August 7th. Early voting is September through November the 3rd, and because of the restrictions, you know, they're using our big community room there. So we will not be able to have our after-school program because they have to use, for social distancing efforts, they have to use that large community room for our early voting. The Gary Dove building is 80% complete, and Old Mill Days, from what we can see, they're still trying to plan things that would allow people to socially distance themselves, and they're still planning for Christmas. The Christmas parade is December the 5th, and they are going to do things a little different. They're going to have the Christmas tree lighting at the lake on the same day instead of splitting those days up. And that's about it.
Okay, thank you. I have the FAMPO newsletter that I have a copy for each of you. I did have a FAMPO meeting again. We went Zoom. The one piece of this newsletter, just to show you the progress report, they give you information as far as what is affecting us is the future I-95. They're talking about it's in the design build stage. Bridge, the next to last item, bridge number 22 over I-95 US 301 on North Carolina 59. Its completion date now is March 31st, 2021. If you've ridden out there, you'll see they're putting the medians in and they're moving pretty quickly, but that is, so you know, those are projects that actually have either their design build or they've got a date. And then they did have on our on the plans for prioritization, Goffview and Rockfish Road, but that's, again, has not been funded, but it's in the list of roads to be prioritized. And FCDC has not met, and that's all I have. So next, staff comments? Nothing? All righty, after staff comments, do we have any official comments?
I would like to say, Dan, we miss you being here. If you can hear me.
I can hear you. Sorry, I'm by phone. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Look forward to seeing y'all next time. Everybody stay safe.
Stay out of that rain and flooding. That's all I have for now, except I want to thank the staff that's been on duty all this time for what you do, what you have to put up with, somebody like me all the time. But please understand, I work for the people. Thank you, Mayor.
I don't really have anything. Sorry I was late, missed first part of your meeting, but I was watching it on YouTube. So I was keeping track of everything, and thank you for allowing me to step in late.
Thank you. Commissioner Bellflowers?
Just want everybody to be safe over the next couple days as we get through this.
Commissioner Edwards?
No.
Nothing. Mayor Pro Tem?
Praying for a calm night, and we have a busy month planned ahead of us.
And I'd like to personally thank Phil Harris with the Red Cross, David McNeil with Duke Energy, and PwC with information. But today we've received, and a lot of it's been forwarded to you, but it's been nice because what they've done is sent text messages to let us know that they've got things in order and in place. And then, of course, our town staff with already having a plan. The only thing I would like, so that if those people that are live are listening, is I did have someone call me. Our dam is fine. We did not lower the water. We are not supposed to. Schnabel Engineering said that it is supposed to work this way. You will see the water rise, but the water is going over the dam. And again, I've already had somebody text me while we were here that they had someone call them because we did not lower the water, but we don't need to lower the water. I'm thankful that our dam is one that it has survived those other bad weather, and it's going to be all right tonight. But prayers for everyone and safe trips home for the board members and our staff. And do I have a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, second, and we'll see you soon. Thank you very much.